if that classroom performance for that particular school and their test scores, are they continually rising? Have they declined any? And if so, kind of just getting feedback from the administrators as to what they think the reason for the decline may be. Not necessarily running away from that school, but just looking at, what, achievements they may have made as far as their test scores have been, or anything that they feel they may need to work on, or any special recognitions that the schools may have. And then looking at the behavior policy, and of course the safety of the school. And so these are some things that fall under that second step of what you need to look for as far as trying to do school selection for your family. And so we're going to take a short break, but we're talking about school selection and selecting a school that provides the things that your child or your family may need. So we're talking about school choice today, and I'm your host, Buffy Williams, and if you will, just stay with us and we'll be back after the break.
Right now, you might be struggling through your classes or even failing them. You might be worried that you may not finish high school. There might have even been a thought that you may not be smart enough. Well, the New Heights Educational Group begs to differ. We not only think you are smart enough, but with our help, you will complete your high school diploma. The New Heights Educational Group strives to improve your academic success through its tutoring services. To learn more, please visit newheightseducation.org and contact us. New Heights Educational Group, educational resources to help reach your goals.
This podcast is brought to you by Silicon Valley High School, the world's fastest growing, video-based, self-paced, teacher-supported, fully accredited online school that's recommended by more than 96% of students. Take individual courses at just $95 each, or earn your high school diploma at any age. Check us out at svhs.co.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Buffy Williams, and you're listening to the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education. And tonight's topic is school selection. And we were just discussing the second step of gathering information on schools. And we talked a little bit about some of the things that you need to be looking for in gathering that information. So again, under that topic, looking at special offerings that the school has, we talked about school safety and the facilities and services that the school may have. But backing up a little bit on the behavior policy, because I know I kind of ran into the break. We talked about academics and looking at the school academic performance. But when you look at the behavior policy, I think that's a big one, and I don't want to skim over it because I know parents have a lot of concerns. I know that I surely do or did during this on this particular area. And all of the areas have equal weight, but when you're looking at how a school, what is their discipline policy, and do they do things within the school to help the child develop character and citizenship, I think is very important. And then how do they handle the children when they misbehave? And is there an issue with school safety? And, how is the absentee policy? And how do they handle if they have issues with drugs or alcohol or anything like that? How is that handled? And of course, under discipline is also the dress code policy. Do they wear uniforms? Is dress code something that they have issues with? And then in relation to school safety, again, how do they prevent, problems with drugs and alcohol and tobacco, or bullying and harassment or things like that? So those are, really important measures that you definitely want to see if they have a relationship with the local police, and how do they handle, certain emergencies within the school, and then how will they notify the parents? So this is, just looking at school selection, and then looking at if they have any special offerings. We talked about that a little bit, school trips or extra resources, that are available to students in extracurricular activities, but you also want to look at the facilities and the services. So do they have a well-stocked library or place for research or interlibrary loans? Do the students have access to the internet, and is that monitored, and how is that monitored? Again, with facilities and services, is there a nurse on duty? Because your child may, have a need to see the nurse throughout the day. Is that nurse on duty throughout the day, all day? Do they serve nutritional meals, and is it well balanced in the lunchroom? Because, if everything else is well, and then you feel like maybe the lunchroom area is lacking, you may provide your child lunch every day. And then if they have activities after school, is that supervised? And for children who may have a limited mobility, is the school accessible for that child? And so then also looking at, attendance for the schools, and then the admissions policy, following the application process, seeing if there's anything special that's required. Is it a portfolio or an addition or a letter of interest? Maybe even test scores that are required. And then additional things, if you're looking at going to a private school, you definitely want to consider tuition. That was a big factor for me, for one of my children, for my son. Tuition was, do they offer a sliding scale? We did not, in my case, receive a scholarship or anything like that. And so do they have a fee schedule, or can it be paid on a payment plan? And then also, are there any particular religious requirements for that particular school? So again, in my case, I did have, one of my children who had that requirement. And then are there any special fees? So for my other children, is there room and board associated with it, lab fees and things like that, or activity fees that are necessary in order for your child to participate? So these are things that you might want to just ask these questions up front. And there are some additional questions, if you're a homeschooler, is it, you have to ask yourself, because your child is being educated at home, is there a suitable place for your child to study during the instruction time? Do you have the adequate free time to be able to, do this? Are there other homeschoolers in your area? Do they have support groups? Again, just considering all the things that go into the special offerings of, trying to select the best school for your child, and looking at, the curriculum of schools and the learning approach for different things. There are so many things to explore when you're thinking about school selection. And the third thing is, make sure you visit the school and observe the school if possible. But definitely you want to make an appointment. Schools are on a schedule, and you want to avoid visiting them, during testing time, or definitely during the first week or the last week of school. You want to get a sense of kind of how the school operates on a normal basis. And most schools will give you a tour, and just so you can kind of get a feel for the culture of the school, the school secretary, are they helpful? Are they friendly? Is the school orderly and neat? How do the bulletin boards look? Just kind of walk through the hallways. Are the students' work displayed within the hallways? How do the students communicate in the hallways, as you observe? And then how does the school communicate with the parents? Do they do that on a weekly basis? Do they do it through a newsletter or an email or on a website? Do all the students appear to be happy and courteous for the most part, and disciplined? And do they have a welcoming attitude, towards parents and maybe even diverse learners or students who have diverse learning needs? And how helpful and friendly do the teachers seem? Principals have their own philosophy about education and their attitudes towards discipline, and definitely you want to talk with the principals about that, or maybe even just browse the website to be able to see what their philosophy is. And you might also want to know if the principal observes the teachers' classrooms, and how often does the principal do that, and kind of what does the principal think the school's strengths and weaknesses, and where they can improve upon what they're already doing great in the school. Because we know that teachers have a hard job, so do administrators, and they're doing the best that they can. So if they're working on a particular area, that may be something that maybe parents can help advocate for them for. Because you want to also know if the principal and the teachers have high expectations for your child, so that your child can have a good and enriching school experience. So you may be able to attend parent-teacher conferences on a frequent basis, and also find out more about the homework and how rigorous is it, how frequent, and do the teachers have special staff that assist them throughout the school day, or are they in the classroom alone with the students? And what is the school policy on teachers responding back to parents, and how quickly should that be? But you also want to look at, is there, just a good feel for the school? Is there a good school spirit? Do they usually take field trips? Do the students seem like, they feel pretty safe at the school? And then for parents, you want to also look at community involvement and the reputation of the school. And then, do you want to move to a community to go to the school where you best think that the best fit is for your child? And then also just simply applying for the school of your choice, and doing it in a timely manner, so that you know that you're meeting all the deadlines, and double checking to make sure that all your information is accurate, and that you have everything that you need prior to the deadline for the school. You want to know what the graduates are saying about the school, and definitely, what other parents in the local area are saying. But get a feel for the school yourself, and just kind of select more than one school if it's a very competitive school, or if you think that there's a chance that your child may or may not get in. Try not to put all your eggs in one basket, but just follow up on your child's application and their status, and definitely notify the school if it's a very competitive school, if your child is planning to attend or not, and try to do the best you can in planning for what's going to best benefit your child, because there are a lot of options for school choice now. The U.S. Department of Education has a lot of information out there for parents. If you want to learn more about school performance and school supplemental educational services or school profiles, comparative data is out there on the schools, and also there's a directory out there for homeschoolers on the U.S. Department of Education's website. So I want to encourage my parents to there's even one for charter school information. So there is also a booklet on the U.S. Department of Education's website that's called Choosing a School for Your Child, that you can download. I think it's, if I remember correctly, about 52 pages. So you may not want to print it, but you may want to actually download it onto your system so that you can use it as a guide. And I hope that these small practical tips will help you as far as your school choice for your child. But again, we talked about considering your child and your family's needs, gathering the information from the schools, not only just hearsay, but actually factual data about the school, visiting the school and observing just the school environment and getting a feel for it for you and your child, then also applying to the school of your choice. And remember that you can download that booklet, Choosing a school for your child from the U.S. Department of Education. I am your host, Buffy Williams, and I hope that you gleaned some additional information tonight that will be beneficial for you, your family,